Well, hey, I just want to welcome you guys to another edition of Woodcarver's Corner. I want to thank you guys for tuning in on our channel. We've been gaining in numbers. A lot of people are commenting on stuff, and of course, it's the time of season outdoors. It's snowing up here, and so every year I've been in the mood to carve a few Santas. And trust me, of all the things that I've carved over the years, I have probably carved more Santa Clauses than any other subject that I've ever carved. And so I just wanted to start this segment of Woodcarver's Corner out by showing you guys. I used to chainsaw this pattern into a log. It's very simple little pattern, and then I would go in by hand and finish it up. Now this one, I've left a tree here in his hands. I've done these so many ways. I put the bag of toys over his shoulder. This one, I don't know whether y'all can see, but I've put some toys in a bag down here. Very simple little log pattern out of a log. I've done them all the way from 6 feet tall, 7 feet tall Santas, down to small ones. But here's an example of one. I'll move him over here out of the way, and I'll show you guys. Here's a wall hanging Santa that I've done. It's fairly large. And I noticed that I have hollowed the back of it out quite a bit to where he only weighs maybe 6, 8, maybe 10 pounds hanging on the wall. But he's got a teddy bear here and, of course, his mitten on. So that's one pattern of a Santa that I've done. I have done every type of a Santa that you can think of. Here's one that, now this one's been around a few years. Vicky liked him when I did him, and so she kept him, but he's several years old, actually. You might say he's a family heirloom by now. But he's a Santa Claus sitting in a chair with a little boy eating a cookie on his lap. Or maybe that's his list, I think it is. It's a nonetheless, there's one that I done. Ain't been that too long ago. It says 2017, so that ain't too long back. Here's one that I've done this pattern several times, you guys. Notice it's just a log, and I've made a place for either wine or sparkling wine or, grape juice or something. A bottle will fit through here and one will set up here. And so I've done this pattern quite often, especially when I had a whole bunch of butternut logs a long time ago. Now, some of these guys I used to teach off from years ago. And some of them we don't always paint red. We've chose to paint this guy kind of a lavender purple color. And it's a Santa Claus carrying a sack of toys. I used to teach this particular one in my classes quite often. These also are patterns that I taught in my classes years ago. Here's a painted red one. He's got a wreath in his hand. This one isn't painted red, of course, but and we've done these. Gosh, years ago we done patterns like this. Here's a pattern that I've done. I would teach this pattern a lot of times. When you get right down to it, Santa Claus is just this glorified wood spirit with a different type of a hat on. Notice how the ball on this hat I'm wearing lays over to the side. See? Well, this one I got going up, just a little different or something. Now, cottonwood bark. I have done, gosh, hundreds of cottonwood bark Santas. And here's a piece of bark that had two segments. So I'd done one on one side, one on the other, and they got two different colored of hats in there. This one doesn't have any antiquing on it. It's just painted. And have you guys that carve this cottonwood bark know that it's really, really soft stuff. Here's a couple more, little different finishes. This one's got some darker antiquing on him, narrower face, some of them fatter face and stuff. One up here in the window, I kind of liked him. There again, I put the ball going up on his face. And notice how I've been throwing some locks in the beard here. This depth around the face has always helped strengthen them up. And Vicky and I used to, this is just an aspen log, a little piece of a log. And we would drill a hole in the top here for either toothpicks or pencils or something. And we would do toothpick holders out of them. I think Vicky actually carved this particular little Santa. But sometimes you don't have to do the whole Santa. You could make it as a candle holder or something that way. So there's a lot of ideas that you could be doing with Santa Claus. A lot of them. I'll add this holly leaves up here just because you want some color other than just the red and white and pink on these things. So, anywho, this is kind of along the lines of the guy that I'm wanting to carve for you, or possibly this particular guy, the first one I showed you. The one I'm getting ready to carve on this film would be something along these lines, you know. And so here we go. I'm going to do a little drawing on our pattern first, and then we're going to get us a log. I decided to use a aspen log because aspen carves fairly decent. So I'm going to set this guy over here. And let's get our pad out. The one I'm fixing to carve may just have a ball up here on the hat. Here's our fluff, row of fluff coming across here. Now, a lot of times I will do almost a pear shape on the Santa's face. And what I mean by that is this. I'll come in here at the temple like this, and then I will let these cheeks roll out and around. Now let's, since he's got this hat on his head, notice how my hat's fitting down on my head here. This eyebrow line is going to come right across in here. And I will do this in and back out thing like this. More of a rolling situation. These will be his eye socket setups. And a lot of times I'll do a little cut, almost like a whale or something, a fish, let's say. You can almost see the shape I'm talking about. And of course, his eye will set right in here somewhere. And so this will come out into some crow's feet on the side too, you guys. And course, I'm setting off to the side, so I can't really see how balanced I am with this face. And little buttony nose, you know, in here. Buttony nose thing going on. And now this mustache, you could go down with it. You could go up with it. I think the customary thing to get a smile on this guy is on this mouth barrel. As we're coming off here, let's pull it up in the corners deep here. And then this mustache will be sitting here. And of course, a little bit of a lower lip down in there. And of course, he's going to have some hair somewhere. Doesn't matter. And then, of course, you know, the beard situation down here. That's basically our pattern. It's basically the same guy right here. So anyway, what we're fixing to do, we're going to get our log and bring it in. We're going to draw our pattern on our log. We're going to go outside. We're going to chainsaw that log, and we're going to get started on this Santa face. Well, guys, I got a couple of half logs here. You might remember back when we were doing the skeleton head, the skull, I had sawed a couple of these really nice aspen logs. So anyway, I sawed a couple of pieces of this aspen log in two. And my intentions here with the Santa thing are to chainsaw out a couple of blanks. It's pretty nice wood. And what we learned when we done the skull was that if you let it dry out too quickly, it has a little moisture in it, but not a lot. It's been dead for long enough the barks fell off. But we learned that if you keep a plastic bag over it as you're carving and let it dry out slowly, it doesn't crack and check. So anyway, I got this guy here, which was, I've got tons of Santas I could be showing you, but this is almost what we're after. We're going to go bigger, of course, because we got more room on our log. So this kind of basic idea, you guys. Here we go. I'm going to draw in. Now keep in mind, I'm going outside with the chainsaw, right? I'm dressed. I got my dirty clothes on. I'm ready to go outside and do a little chainsawing. But this is kind of what I have in mind here. This would be the top of Santa's hat, the fluff part of the hat coming across here. Let's go big with hair, maybe even more than that. Big with hair, and start rounding this beard around. Let's think about our brow line somewhere in here. This is all preliminary mapping in, you guys, because I'm fixing to cut all this off and then flatten down the front of this quite a bit. So this is just dreaming in, let's say. But I'm thinking that his eyes are in this area. His nose is here somewhat. And then, of course, whatever happens with the mustache, whether it's up or down, either way. You might notice it's a little wet on this because it's snowing outside, you guys. We're doing Santa Claus in the snow. So anyway, that's my basic idea. I hope you guys can see it. And we're going to go outside and fire up the chainsaw for a minute.
my pocket. Give you guys an idea what we're doing. This nose is going to come on down into here somewhere. You know, we're not sure yet. These big cheeks on Santa in this area, big cheeks. Pull in at the temples and have room for some hair on both sides here. We'll end up with a big mustache here. Pull this all down and into a bunch of curly beard. This will be the bowl on his hat. And of course his fluff of his hat will come on to meet his face as we're going to salt and pepper that to taste when we get there, you guys. So anyway, we'll catch up with you guys here in a little bit.
Well, guys, we've been outside and we've done a little chainsawing on these aspen logs. They had a few little cracks and checks in them here. Nothing that really worried me that badly. You can see that it's still got the chainsaw markings on it here and there, some places. But what I've been doing is I took this great big old number 9 gouge and I started cleaning up, let's say, along through this brow of the nose area. And then on his nose, I'm going to take and round. We got to get rid of these chainsaw marks anyway. But I got this gouge upside down here. And I'm going to start setting the shank of this nose in. You can see this wood carves okay. I wouldn't rate it the best carving wood in the world, but that's what we got. So, all right. And what I may end up doing is start putting him some nostrils on this nose by coming out here at an angle. I notice that his nose is a little curved, pointed towards me a little bit. May end up being part of his character when we put this mustache in. His smile may come up a little more on that particular side. But to get these little beady nostrils on this nose, I'm going to do a number 9 here. I'm barely going to nib it underneath here for now. And come over. Now, I'm working at an outwards angle, you guys see here, outwards. Don't work straight in or you'll not have any recourse, any place to go if you needed to work differently. So I always give myself plenty of room on something like this. And eventually his nostril is going right here. So basically, you guys, when you're setting the nose in, I got this little number 9. It's not real tight. It's open, see? I don't know whether you guys can see it, but I'm at an angle. Boom, here, here. I took the bigger one, went over the end of the nose, and then I nibbed right here on his nostril and right here on the nostril. So I basically, got that nose set up. Now let's work on this mouth barrel a little bit. I want these cheeks to come out bulby. I had mentioned in our drawing that I wanted a kind of a pear shape on the face. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go out big here. And do the same thing on this side. you know, if you need to, you may measure. But I'm so early in the game right now that I don't think measuring is something that needs to happen right at this second. I'll keep working it as I go. I'm going to start in here at the temple area. Let me fix my vise a little bit. It's trying to. This is a pretty heavy piece of wood. I do end up planning on you guys hollowing the back of this guy out where he's not going to be hanging on the wall weighing 600 pounds, you know. Right now, this probably weighs a good 20, 25 pounds. All right, so eventually, his cheeks, that piece of wood's so heavy that it's out powering my vise. Now I've got a number 5 upside down, and I'm just trying to get some roundness on my cheek here, and I'm pulling in my pear shape at the temple area. And I'm going to start getting rid of some of this wood out from underneath here. Okay, let's come over to this side and kind of do the same deal. Let's pull the temple in. My helper's down here, you guys trying to help me. She usually lays down in that corner back there where we got a jam full of Santa Clauses. she can't get to her corner back there. So, all right, I'm V-tooling, you guys, the bottom of my mustache coming around here, right? This is a chainsaw mark that was in there when we were chainsawing a while ago outside. It's a good thing we got our chainsaw and did when we did, because it's snowing outside right now a little bit. This is the time of year for carving Santa Clauses. Snowing outside. Oh, I got to tell you what I saw in my yard today, you guys. A moose. We had a moose come walking right up across our yard and went up the side of the mountain right above the house here this morning. And, you know, I knew something was going on the other day. I saw these huge tracks out there in the yard. And I knew it wasn't an elk or a deer. These were huge tracks. Well, anyway, this morning, I looked over there and he was coming across our yard. So apparently he goes up the mountain here above us somewhere. We got a lot of little chokecherry saplings and a lot of serviceberry saplings up there. And I suppose this time of year when there ain't much to eat, he's probably just nibbling on all of those saplings. But I also know that it's a mama moose because there wasn't no big rack of horns or anything. But I also earlier in this summer saw her with her calf down by the river. So I knew that she'd been around here somewhere. Okay, guys, you're starting to see I'm getting some bulby cheeks going on here. Tell you what, let's do. While we're V-tooling, remember on our drawings where I came in here and up and over and back out like this? I'm going to do this on both sides. I'm a little flatter on my brow over here than I am over here. I think we'll make it all work out. So I'm going to take this big, you notice I got a big V tool here. And I'm going to come along the top of this cheek. Now see the bulb on his cheek beginning to develop here. Of course, I'll clean that up. See my eye socket's beginning to develop here. Let's bring this side along a little bit more. I'm rounding out these cheeks, you guys. And I got a little flat gouge here. This wood's got just enough moisture left in it that it's really not carving all that great. Not as good as I thought it was going to. Let's put it that way. Now here on this mouth barrel, I'm going to try to get some nice depth coming in. I have a lot of people tell me I have kind of an unorthodox method of roughing in. You know, you notice I use a gouge upside down quite often when I'm roughing in. I almost always rough in with a mallet like I am. Of course, not on them smaller little Santas in the cottonwood bark. I still will put that cottonwood bark in a vise when I'm carving it, only because I am so used to carving in a vise like I am right now. Now I'm going to depth in. See how that depth is? Well, come here, Santa. This piece of wood's so heavy, the vise is having a tough time hanging on to it, especially with me pounding on it. But notice this depth here on his mouth barrel, on his cheek and stuff. I'm going to come over here and try to get a little more of that depth going, you guys. All right, guys, I'm bringing my cheeks around here. You can see that depth that I'm getting is really starting to help, right? This Santa's getting jollier by the second. Now, I wanted to show you something right here at the end of his mustache, like right here. A lot of times, I will come in with a round gouge from the side right here and begin to put just a small tuck on his cheek right here. And that little tuck, let me see if I've got one down here that's kind of got what I'm talking about. This guy's a good example. Is see here how I've taken that U-gouge right here and hooked just a little bit on each side to kind of, you're showing a little bit of the cheek in and underneath here, and it'll bring that smile on out. Of course, it always amazes me how every one of them always turns out so different, you know. But I'm going to come over here and kind of give this guy that tuck right there. And I'll start putting some direction, let's call them directionals, in his mustache here. You can see this aspen wood is not carving quite as nice as I had thought it was going to, but I've carved way worse woods. If you guys been watching Woodcarver's Corner, you've seen me cussing my way through a bunch of that juniper and stuff that just didn't carve very well at all. I'm cleaning out the boogers out of his nose here, you guys. Now, Normally, when I was setting up this eye socket area in there, I would probably spend a lot more time trying to get it to look right. But I don't care if this guy takes on the character of like he's winking or something, or one side of his cheek is up and the other one is out. Uh, I may go ahead and depthen this side here a little bit, but we're just going to put some wide open eyes on this guy. Just that depth right there that I'm bringing in there is really strengthening things up. I don't have to be using the mallet here. I could be probably just shoving that gouge. But let's go across his eyes. That mound. Let's go across here with this great big guy right here. Come from the other way a little. See what that does for me? It just sets me up so perfect in there. Now this one is droopy. The eye socket's droopy. I don't even care. I think it's going to be part of this guy's character. And let's draw what we're going to do here. I may even put my glasses on here in a second. 2 or 3 things, you guys. I'm going to start mounding up an area to get some eyebrows, bushy eyebrows up here. And this one's in and under his hat. Let's just show a hint of it and let it go right up under his hat over here. Doesn't matter. Let's draw the eye way up and over here. And we will open these eyes up quite a bit on Santa Claus. And this one, we may let it squint a little bit. We don't care. If you had your center line in here somewhere, you could see where you're set up at. You see that I need to start putting a few directionals with the U-gouge in my mustache here. 2 or 3 things that I'm probably going to end up doing is, let's say there's nothing going on up here on his hat. Let's throw some great big old holly leaves up here. And that'll let us paint some green on them, which, green's a nice Christmassy type of a color. So I would throw in a couple of holly leaves up here on his hat. Down in his beard area, of course, I'm going to clean these cheeks up and round them and work them a little bit here. But at this stage in the game, you guys, I'm going to depthen along his hair. I'm going to get a definite separation. Notice on this guy that I keep going back to, see the depth along the hair and how I left a piece sticking out. I'll do that over here, leave some hair. Then I'll take this down, see, through here area. And I'll do the same thing over on the other side. Notice how I left a couple of locks in this guy's hair. So we're going to get some, what we're going to do with this depth is you're framing the picture. See how we're framing this face in there? So a lot of times as I'm getting this depth in, I'll start throwing some curls in his beard and stuff down here. Now, I'll kind of give you an idea of sometimes how I'll do it. I'll just take a gouge. This is a big old round gouge, not even very sharp because, you know, I don't use this gouge very often, and therefore, you know how that goes. It's usually the last one in the whole thing to get sharpened. But see how I've done that one deal there? Now I'm going to take a bigger, wider open number 7 at a not up and underneath of what you just did either. You're going away from it. There's just enough moisture in this piece of wood that it don't really want to let go of the chips very good. But as I'm getting this depth, definite separation between what is his beard and what is his hair, I'm going to start throwing in a bunch of these curves here and there, curls, let's call them. And see, I can use this one way like this, and then I can come the other way and begin to get a curl going. My darn vise is trying to walk away from me here, you guys. You're basically starting to get the idea of what we're doing here. Depth, anywhere I can start adding depth. For instance, under his mustache area here. And get some depth where his lips and his mouth is going to go in and underneath there. Well, guys, here's what's going to happen. We're burning up quite a bit of camera time. So I'm going to come in and set more curls in this beard. I'm going to get my definite separation between the hair. And I could start setting in these holly leaves up here. I've got a number 7. Look here how I can skate that number 7 like that. And then come here and skate it like that. And here. That'll let me come in here and pull this chunk away. Of course, I'll clean up his hat. I'll even have some wrinkles more in this hat as this goes, guys. But for right now, you can see what I'm getting there, and I'll probably do some shaping here on this holly leaf. I'll get it cupped, do this one. So for right now, I'm going to clean up, do some of this stuff that I'm talking about, and then I'm going to get back with you guys on the eyes and the finishing stuff that I'm going to do here. So we'll get back together. Well, I had a pretty late night session last night. I brought this Santa along, put a bunch more curls in his beard, cleaned up the hat, got some wrinkles in the hat. So I wanted to save this part here to where you guys could kind of see. I ran a U-gouge along where I'd left those marks when we talked yesterday. So there's the eye situation right there. And I probably will direction his eyes a little bit this way, something like that, where he's looking off the other way. Basically, all I'm going to do here, you guys, is take a V-tool and clean up along where I got these eyes drawn with a V-tool. Of course, I'm setting off to the side of the Santa. And I know you guys probably can't really see all that well, but I'm V-tooling the eye in. I might have mentioned yesterday that this aspen wood carved fairly decent, but it's got just enough moisture in it that it was being kind of tough. It didn't want to let go of the chips real easy. I'm taking my knife, you guys, and running along the eye. And I'm doing a 3-way stop cut in the corner here of the eye. And I'm just simply going to whittle this eye around here, see? May have to go to a longer bladed knife to reach here. His nose is in the way. Let me try a little longer bladed knife, see if it helps reach a little further here. I'll clean the corners of the eyes out. And run this line along the top. I know my hand's right in the way, but you can see what I'm doing is making a running stop cut along the eye there. And I'm going to take a little bit of time and whittle. All right. I got the eyeball whittled fairly decent there. I'm going to come over here. Let's tighten the vise. Okay. I'm about to get that cleaned up here on the eye, you guys. Get it rounded. Got the other side rounded. I did leave some room down here for some teeth. I'll probably use my knife on these teeth a little bit. And I got a number 9, I believe it is, to make these. And for the eyeballs themselves, or the pupils, let's call it, I'm just going to skate it like that right there, see? And then I'm just going to come right back against itself and just pull that little shadow right there. And over on this side, I think those are fairly close to looking the same direction. I don't usually get too hung up whether they're a little off or not, because it kind of adds to the character of the guy. So, tell you what we're going to do with this guy, you guys, is I'm actually going to let our camera person paint these, because as I told you the other day, I'm the world's worst painter. And so I think that they do a lot more painting than I do. So it'll look better to let them. I'm doing some crow's feet out of the corner, cleaning up a few pencil marks on the eye, some crow's feet over here on this side. I may spend a few minutes sanding with some light wore out 220 sandpaper on him. But hopefully you guys can see there. So anyway, we're down to the painting on this particular guy.